In a world ruled by ambition, blood, and steel, one king rose above all to carve an empire from the chaos of kingdoms. William, the Conqueror King, was not born to mere privilege. He was forged in adversity, tempered by betrayal, and driven by an unyielding hunger for power. From the windswept shores of Normandy to the rolling hills of England, his sword and cunning changed the course of history. Every battle he fought, every crown he claimed, and every law he imposed left a legacy that shaped nations and bloodlines for centuries. Witness the story of a monarch whose vision, ruthlessness, and determination created a dynasty that would dominate not just lands, but hearts and minds, echoing across the ages. Experience the rise of William the Conqueror till the end. Subscribe and like for a journey through history. Unlike any other, one, birth, early life, and the making of a conqueror in the rugged landscape of 11th century Normandy, William was born in 1028, the illegitimate son of Robert I, Duke of Normandy, and Herleva, a woman of common birth. From the very beginning, his life was marked by hardship and suspicion. His illegitimacy made him vulnerable to rivals and conspiracies, even within his own family. Yet, these early challenges would forge the steel of his character, shaping a leader capable of extraordinary ambition and unyielding resolve. Normandy in William's youth was a land of volatile politics, where ducal authority was constantly contested by ambitious barons and feuding lords. The young William learned quickly that survival required both cunning and courage. He witnessed assassination plots, rebellions, and betrayals that left a permanent mark on his psyche. By the age of 8, he had lost his father, leaving him as the new Duke of Normandy, a position fraught with danger for a boy deemed illegitimate and weak by his peers. Despite his youth, William demonstrated remarkable intelligence and determination. He cultivated alliances with loyal nobles, observed the intricate rules of feudal loyalty, and developed military skills that would later define his leadership. Tutors trained him in languages, history, and governance, while experienced knights drilled him in strategy and combat. Every setback became a lesson, every betrayal a test of resilience. By his teenage years, William was already recognized as a figure of authority, able to command respect despite his precarious status. The early years of his rule were dominated by survival. Rival factions sought to exploit his youth, launching attacks on his castles and challenging his ducal authority. William responded with both cunning and ferocity, organizing counterattacks, securing fortifications, and demonstrating that even a young duke could wield power decisively. His ability to blend diplomacy with strategic force became a hallmark of his leadership steel, a balance of mind and muscle that would later define his conquests. William's formative years were also shaped by personal trials. He endured the loss of mentors, the betrayal of supposed allies, and the constant threat of assassination. These experiences instilled in him an unshakable determination to secure his position and expand his power. He began to see himself not merely as a regional duke, but as a future king, destined to leave a mark on history far beyond Normandy. By the end of Part 1, the young duke had survived countless threats to his life and authority. He had learned to command loyalty, wield force with precision, and navigate the treacherous currents of feudal politics. The foundation for a lifetime of conquest was laid, and the stage was set for William to pursue ambitions that would reach England and establish a dynasty whose influence would echo for centuries. To consolidation of Normandy and early battles upon assuming the duke, William faced immediate and relentless threats from rival barons, eager to exploit his youth and illegitimacy. Normandy was a patchwork of semi-independent fiefdoms, each lord guarding his power jealously. The fragile unity of the duchy rested entirely on the ability of the duke to assert authority, maintain loyalty, and suppress dissenter. Monumental challenge for a ruler barely in his teens. William's first acts as duke demonstrated both audacity and strategic brilliance. He traveled across Normandy, forging alliances with key nobles, rewarding loyalty, and neutralizing threats through a combination of diplomacy, coercion, and, when necessary, calculated violence. He established a network of fortified castles that served both as military strongpoints and symbols of his authority. Every conquest, every negotiation, and every strategic marriage reinforced his position, gradually transforming him from a vulnerable boy into a formidable leader. Battles became an essential part of William's rule. Early skirmishes with rebellious barons tested his command and military acumen. He learned to coordinate infantry, cavalry, and archers with precision, often turning inferior numbers into victories through clever tactics. These engagements were not mere displays of brute force. They were lessons in strategy, logistics, and leadership. His ability to inspire fear and loyalty simultaneously became a defining feature of his rule. Beyond warfare, William cultivated administrative skills crucial for maintaining a stable duty. He implemented systems for taxation, law enforcement, and dispute resolution, ensuring that Normandy functioned efficiently under his command. By combining military might with effective governance, he created a duchy that was both resilient and organized, capable of supporting the ambitious campaigns he envisioned for the future. A pivotal moment in this period was William's handling of a major rebellion led by a coalition of powerful barons. Outnumbered and facing betrayal from within, he orchestrated a daring strategy. Using feigned retreats and ambushes, he divided the enemy forces and struck decisively at key strongholds. The victory not only secured Normandy but also sent a message across Europe. William was a leader whose combination of intelligence, ruthlessness, and courage could overcome any challenge. As Normandy stabilized under his rule, William's ambitions began to stretch beyond the duchy. He cultivated ties with the papacy, securing the church's blessing for future endeavors, and developed the political acumen necessary to engage with other European powers. The foundations of his authority were no longer merely defensive, they were the platform for conquest. By the end of Part 2, William had transformed Normandy into a unified, disciplined, and strategically fortified duchy. His early battles and governance had forged a leader capable of conceiving and executing grand ambitions. The stage was set for his most audacious project yet, the conquest of England, a land whose throne was both a prize and a test of his destiny. 3. Claim to the English throne and preparations for invasion. By the early 1060s, William's ambition had outgrown Normandy. The death of King Edward, the Confessor of England, in 1066 created a crisis of succession, presenting William with an opportunity he had long envisioned. Edward had allegedly promised the English crown to William during his lifetime, a pledge reinforced by oaths sworn by English nobles. Yet, the throne did not pass peacefully. Harold Godwinson seized power, and the question of legitimacy became the spark for one of the most significant military campaigns in medieval history. William understood that claiming the English crown required more than a claim. It demanded preparation, resources, and unshakable resolve. He spent years consolidating support among Norman nobles, gathering ships, and assembling a disciplined army capable of crossing the English Channel and defeating a well-entrenched enemy. Normandy's stability under his rule enabled this massive mobilization, as he could now call upon troops, supplies, and loyal commanders without fear of domestic rebellion. Diplomacy played a crucial role. William secured endorsements from the Pope, obtaining a papal banner that framed his invasion as divinely sanctioned. This not only legitimized his claim, but also discouraged potential allies of Harold from intervening, as opposing William could now be seen as opposing the church. He also negotiated with mercenaries and loyal nobles, offering land, wealth, and titles to those who would fight alongside him. His meticulous planning ensured that when the invasion began, every unit, ship, and officer was ready for coordinated action. The logistical feat of assembling a cross-channel invasion was unprecedented. Hundreds of ships had to be constructed or commandeered, supplies gathered, and the timing synchronized to account for tides, weather, and enemy movements. William's personal attention to every detail reflected his understanding that success in England depended not only on courage and military skill but on meticulous preparation. In the months preceding the invasion, William sent envoys to England to assess Harold's alliances and gauge support among English nobles. Intelligence indicated both strengths and weaknesses in Harold's rule. While he had consolidated power quickly, some regions remained loyal to the previous king, and tensions among the nobility could be exploited. William's strategy would blend direct military confrontation with careful psychological and political warfare, undermining Harold's authority before even setting foot on English soil. The final phase of preparation involved drilling his army, reinforcing loyalty, and instilling the discipline that would be essential in the decisive battles to come. William emphasized coordination among cavalry, infantry, and archers, rehearsing complex maneuvers that would later prove crucial at Hastings. His leadership style, blending charisma, fear, and tactical genius, ensured that every soldier understood both their role and the stakes of the campaign. By the end of Part 3, William was no longer merely the Duke of Normandy. He was a king, a military strategist, and a visionary leader poised to challenge the greatest kingdom in Western Europe. The invasion of England was no longer a plan, it was destiny, and William's preparation had left him ready to change the course of history. For invasion of England and the Battle of Hastings in the summer of 1066, William's meticulously prepared invasion fleet set sail from Normandy, carrying thousands of Norman soldiers, archers, and cavalry, each drilled for the campaign that could decide the fate of England. The crossing of the English Channel was itself a feat of logistics and coordination, with ships navigating treacherous waters, tides, and weather. Yet, for William, every obstacle reinforced the gravity of his mission. This was a moment that could elevate him from duke to king, or doom him to obscurity. Upon landing on the southern coast of England, near Pevensey, William immediately secured a foothold, fortifying the beachhead and sending out scouts to gauge enemy positions. Harold Godwinson, having recently repelled a northern invasion by Harold Godwinson of Norway at the Battle of Stamford Bridge, was forced to march south, exhausted but determined to defend his crown. William used this window of opportunity to consolidate his forces, build temporary fortifications, and prepare for the decisive encounter that would become the Battle of Hastings. The battle, fought on October 14, 1066, was a testament to William's strategic genius. Harold's army formed a formidable shield wall atop Senlac Hill, presenting a nearly impenetrable defense. William's first assaults were repelled, but he remained patient, using feigned retreats to draw segments of the English forces into vulnerable positions. Bows and cavalry attacks, coordinated with infantry movements, gradually weakened the shield wall. William himself rode among his men, rallying soldiers, demonstrating fearlessness, and inspiring loyalty that would tip the scales in the Normans' favor. Hours of brutal combat ensued, with both sides sustaining heavy casualties. Yet William's disciplined, multifaceted strategy prevailed. Harold was struck down during the fighting, and his death demoralized the remaining English forces. The Norman cavalry broke through, and the battle concluded with William as the undisputed victor. England, a kingdom that had resisted foreign domination for centuries, had fallen to the determination, strategy, and courage of one man, a conqueror forged in adversity. The aftermath of Hastings was both political and personal. William moved quickly to secure his claim, accepting the loyalty of nobles who recognized his victory as legitimate. Castles and fortifications were built across strategic points, ensuring Norman dominance and preventing rebellions. The careful integration of Norman and English elites into a new governing structure allowed William to consolidate power effectively, laying the foundation for centuries of centralized authority. Beyond the battlefield, William's conquest reshaped the social and cultural fabric of England. Norman nobles assumed key positions of power, new laws were codified, and the monarchy became a symbol of unbroken authority, backed by military might. William's rule also introduced architectural and administrative innovations, including the construction of formidable castles and the Doomsday Survey, which established an unprecedented system of governance, taxation, and land assessment. By the end of Part 4, William had transformed England forever. From a vulnerable duke beset by rivals in Normandy, he had become William the Conqueror, king of a united England. His victory was not only the product of skill on the battlefield but of years of preparation, strategic planning, and unyielding resolve. The conquest of England would define his legacy, cementing a dynasty whose influence would resonate across generations. 5. Consolidation of power, governance, and rebellion in England. William's victory at Hastings marked the beginning of a new era, but the real challenge lay ahead. Consolidating power in a kingdom resistant to foreign rule. England was a land of proud, independent nobles, and loyalty was fragile. William faced the daunting task of asserting authority while integrating Norman rule with existing English structures. His approach combined military enforcement, strategic diplomacy, and systematic governance, a blueprint that would ensure the durability of his dynasty. One of William's first priorities was to secure key strongholds. Castles were constructed at strategic points, including Winchester, York, and London, serving both as military bases and symbols of Norman authority. These fortifications allowed him to respond quickly to uprisings, controlled trade routes, and project power across the country. The physical presence of castles reinforced the psychological dominance of the crown, signaling that rebellion would be met with immediate force. William also implemented sweeping administrative reforms. He introduced Norman feudal structures, redistributing land to loyal followers while retaining oversight over strategic estates. English nobles were either integrated into the new order under strict supervision or displaced by Norman barons. This redistribution of wealth and power ensured loyalty, rewarded service, and created a ruling class firmly aligned with the conqueror's objectives. The Domesday Book, commissioned in 1085, exemplified this approach in unprecedented survey documenting land, resources, and taxation, providing William with the tools to govern effectively. Rebellions erupted frequently, testing William's authority. Northern England, in particular, resisted Norman domination. William responded with ruthless campaigns, combining scorched earth tactics, strategic sieges, and decisive battles. The harrying of the North was one such campaign, where resistance was crushed through both military and economic means, ensuring that rebellion would not easily resurface. While brutal, these measures established long-term stability, demonstrating that William would not tolerate insubordination. Diplomacy complemented military action. William maintained relations with the church, securing the loyalty of bishops and abbots, whose influence over local populations helped legitimize his rule. Marriages and alliances were used strategically to bind potentially rebellious families to his court. Through these measures, William created a network of obligation and allegiance that extended across the realm. William's consolidation of power also extended to law and administration. He integrated Norman legal principles with existing Anglo-Saxon customs, creating a system that emphasized royal authority while allowing for local governance. Officials loyal to the crown were appointed to oversee taxation, justice, and land management. By combining centralized oversight with localized administration, William strengthened the monarchy and ensured effective governance across a diverse and often fractious kingdom. Beyond politics, William focused on cultural integration. He encouraged the adoption of Norman architecture, art, and courtly customs, blending them with English traditions. Cathedrals, monasteries, and castles became visible symbols of the new order, while the nobility adopted Norman etiquette and governance practices. This fusion of cultures helped legitimize Norman rule and created a shared identity among England's elite. By the end of Part 5, William had transformed England from a conquered territory into a unified, centrally governed kingdom. Through a combination of military might, administrative innovation, strategic diplomacy, and cultural integration, he established a stable monarchy capable of maintaining control across generations. The foundations laid during this period ensured that William's legacy would endure, influencing both the governance of England and the broader trajectory of the British Empire. 6. Later, reign, diplomacy, family, and expansion of influence, with England firmly under his control. William shifted attention to consolidating his dynasty and expanding influence across Europe. His later reign was characterized not only by military campaigns, but also by diplomacy, careful management of family alliances, and efforts to ensure the longevity of the Norman legacy. William understood that the stability of his kingdom depended on securing both the loyalty of his nobles and the succession of his heirs. He arranged strategic marriages for his children, linking the Norman dynasty with powerful continental families. These alliances created networks of obligation, ensuring that William's influence extended beyond England and Normandy into broader European politics. His sons were groomed to take on responsibilities within both regions, balancing military command with governance, a testament to William's foresight in dynastic planning. Diplomacy played a central role in William's later reign. He maintained delicate relations with neighboring kingdoms, including France, Scotland, and the Holy Roman Empire. Treaties were negotiated to prevent invasions, secure trade, and recognize the legitimacy of his rule. William's reputation as a formidable warrior king, combined with his diplomatic skill, allowed him to wield influence without constant conflict. Yet he remained vigilant, understanding that alliances were fragile and often subject to sudden shifts in loyalty or ambition. Military campaigns continued, particularly to subdue remaining pockets of resistance in England, and to assert authority over neighboring territories. William's son Robert was tasked with managing Normandy's defense, while William himself oversaw campaigns against rebellious northern lords and rebellious Welsh princes. These operations reinforced the authority of the crown demonstrating that William's power extended across both land and sea. At the same time, William faced personal challenges that tested his resilience and leadership. Conflicts with his sons, particularly Robert, revealed the tension between familial loyalty and political ambition. While William's authority was largely uncontested, the ambitions of his heirs foreshadowed potential instability, highlighting the delicate balance required to maintain dynastic control. Through a combination of firm leadership, strategic concessions, and clear succession planning, William navigated these challenges, ensuring that the Conqueror legacy would endure. Cultural and administrative achievements also marked this period. William continued to strengthen royal institutions, support the church, and implement legal reforms that would influence English governance for generations. Cathedrals, castles, and civic buildings not only demonstrated his authority, but also reinforced the integration of Norman and English traditions. The Domesday Book remained a vital tool for administration, providing a level of oversight unprecedented in medieval Europe. William's later years were also a time of reflection. He recognized that his conquests and governance had created a transformed kingdom, blending Norman military efficiency with English traditions. His vision extended beyond mere territory. It encompassed a lasting dynasty, a centralized monarchy, and a culture of authority that would define England for centuries. By the end of Part 6, William had solidified his reputation as one of history's most formidable conquerors and rulers. His reign was marked by unparalleled military success, strategic diplomacy, effective governance, and careful dynastic planning. England, once a divided kingdom, had become a unified and powerful state under his leadership, and the Norman dynasty he established promised a lasting influence on the course of British history. Conclusion: Legacy of William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror's life was a testament to the power of vision, resilience, and unrelenting ambition. From a vulnerable, illegitimate child in Normandy to the king who reshaped England, he transformed adversity into opportunity, forging a dynasty whose influence would span centuries. His military genius at the Battle of Hastings secured not only the throne but also a unified kingdom capable of withstanding rebellion and foreign threats. Beyond conquest, William's reforms in governance, law, and administration created a centralized monarchy that balanced feudal obligations with royal authority. The Domesday Book, castle networks, and legal innovations ensured stability, while his strategic marriages and diplomacy expanded his influence across Europe. Culturally, he fused Norman and English traditions, leaving a legacy visible in architecture, language, and societal structures. William's reign established the blueprint for strong leadership, courage in battle, foresight in governance, and the ability to inspire loyalty. His bloodline, institutions, and vision laid the foundations for England's future as a powerful nation and, eventually, a global empire. The Conqueror King remains a symbol of ambition, strategy, and enduring influence, a ruler whose life changed the course of history and whose legacy continues to shape the monarchy and the British Empire to this day.